All right, everybody, we are live with Marty Jannetty. It is the party with Marty. MJ is in the house. Marty, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm hanging in there and, going through a lot here lately, but I think I'm going to be all right. Just some the medical stuff lately has been a challenge, but I think right now with the ankle in particular, most people we've talked about it on here quite a bit. This last surgery we had, it's been what, 5 weeks now, Radical?
Yes.
Radical, Radical, Addy,
Yes, sir.
Addy,
Yes, sir.
or Adorator is there. Is there a chat room on this?
Yes, there is.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Oh,
We
that's
got
where you
several
ask some
coming.
questions. Hey, everybody in the chat room, ask away. I got some answers here and there. Y'all obviously will notice, the regulars will notice that there's some changes. And I think I had mentioned that on my Facebook. Um, and we posted tonight about just going to be live one. Um, they There's some changes and our new co-host. I want to make sure I get the last name right, so I'm going to say Eric
Carol.
Carroll. It
Yeah,
is Carroll, right?
yeah.
And I figured that, but I didn't want to say Carol, and you go, no, it's Caroli, or something. So, I wanted to get that correct. But and all the changes are going to be upgraded, better. Y'all are going to love it. Um, in the past, there was nothing. It was just some. I don't know if you would say creative indifferences or whatever indifferences, and it was, there was nothing bad. We would like to wish the last guy, success in whatever direction and whatever he does from here. Um, but again, Eric is our man now, and I'm very happy about that. And um, Eric, let me ask you. You're a very religious man or spiritual man, or what would you say?
Uh, I was the son of a pastor, but I wouldn't say. I mean, yeah, I've got beliefs, but I wouldn't say like very, very spiritual. No.
Okay. Well, see, and that's me. I'm very spiritual, but the whole religion seems to start throwing out rules at you.
Oh
Like
yeah.
and I'm like, come on, man. One of the and gosh, I hope I don't offend nobody, including you, on this. One of the first ones that just really bothers me. And since we're talking about it, religion, I'll try not to cuss here. But one that bites me in the rear end is that the God of love. It's nothing but love for everybody and any sins, but if you do the wrong thing, you burn in hell forever. Right? Love, die, bitch, die. Stuff like that.
No, I
Nobody.
understand that, man. I understand that. I've had a lot of those questions myself, and I think it's okay to question because if you don't question,
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to be just a zombie, just walk through life and not ask about things that
right?
you don't understand. I mean, how else are you going to learn? And sorry about the sunglasses, but I'm so pale white right now. I'll take them off so y'all know it is
It's kind of
MJ up in the
blinding.
house. How does John do it? But it's just, man, I wish I could hide more of my face. It's so pale white lately. From the had the surgery 5 weeks ago, and it's coming along, but it's still, it's still. I think this is going to be the one that finally we've got everything right, and it's going to heal well, and then I'll be good to go with no more, walking in pain, having to take pain medicine, or when I ran out of that, Georgia regulates so much that you've got a certain amount of pills that you can take before you can get a re-up and all that. And sometimes, man, especially like for a pro wrestler, our higher tolerance to pain means we have a higher tolerance to pain medication. And
Yeah, imagine.
they kind of box everybody up like this: take one pill every 6 hours. That's for everybody, or what? I mean, do we all hurt the same? Do we all knock the shit out of each other the same? We all run into a wall at 100 miles an hour and then laugh because it was supposed to be a tackle. you know, But
How many surgeries have you had so far from your wrestling career?
Well, up until recent actual surgeries, up until 3 years ago, and it was for the ankles. I'd had none. Actually, I take that back. I did arthroscopic surgery, which is just a boom in the shoulder. But like where they open you up and go in, it had never had one. Many injuries, of course, and way more concussions. That's just a part of wrestling. Did you ever get involved with wrestling, like in the ring or anything, Eric?
No, I thought about it, but no.
No.
I know you guys. You put some wear and tear on your bodies, man.
Especially the longer you do it at any level, be it at the top of the pro leagues or independence. Independence, you still get injured. When I wrestled for WWE and WWF, AWA way back, NWA when I started, I stayed with the major. I was lucky enough to stay with the major leagues. And the first time I had to go to independence, because with WWE, WWF, I got fired a lot. I don't mean to laugh about it, but it's just ridiculous. So looking back, I'll laugh. But also, what people don't know is I quit a lot, and and then once in a while I was released. And everybody's like, "Oh, you got fired." Now release is different than getting fired, and I've explained it, but I'll do it again since I brought it up. They when you're released, or if I'll time that back. When you're released, that means that, hey, we've run the course with you. We don't have anything else. We don't see a direction forward. Thank you. We appreciate your work, but this is in the road. When you're released, and you can always come back, that also the door don't slam shut, as you leave. But when you're released, you still get paid for 90 days, whatever your contract was, according to contract. You get paid for 90 days after you're done. When you're finished, you still get a paycheck every Monday for 90 days. When you're fired or if you quit, that shit stops right then. That's it. You don't get another damn payday. So, I was fired probably 3 or 4 or 5 times. And then there was 2 times I was released. And then 3 times, we'll go with 3 times that I just said, nah, hell with y'all, and walked out. So, we joke about it, and it's probably not something to joke about, but we do it. The whole, Marty's got the record. Iron Sheik had the record. He had like 7 times, but he was just straight up fired. I don't think he ever quit. And then everybody goes, I think Marty's got him beat. I think he's got the record. Well, when we all sat down and added it up, if you include the quittings with the firings, if you add the releases too, I blew it away. I got like 10. The Sheik had 7. It's, total times gone. But it's like, what's funny? It's like Al Snow once said when asked about that, because him and I tagged as the New Rockers for so long. They asked him, why do you think Marty was fired and then brought right back again? And Al, good for me that he said, Al said, because if they think they can make money with you, if Vince thinks he can make money with you, he will always bring you back. And I didn't even think of that until, he said it, because I thought about it. Like, give you an example, Jesse, Body Ventura, Jesse.
Yep.
He sued for $750,000, or that's how much you won. And it had to do with royalties and the money they weren't paying, at the time. Was one of the reasons they started paying you pretty much correctly, as far as I can tell, correctly, because, the lawsuit, Jesse won $750,000. the whole entire office and some of the guys that said we are no longer associated, know anything do not say his name. We don't want about Jesse Ventura. I mean, it was just like, don't even say his name around this company.
Well, because he was trying to get the union in at that point in time too, right?
I think that he might have been, but I think the bigger thing was the lawsuit because he got real upset about the. I mean, it was horrible. They actually owed him, pretty close to what he was rewarded. So I don't know if with the 750,000 was, basically how much they owed him, or if it was, some of what they owed him, and plus, whatever you sued for out of anguish or whatever. And, so, but the thing is, they told us, they had memorandums going around to the people in the office workers. No contact, no talk about, no nothing. Just he's dirt to us. Then when it became, and I don't know, a year or so, 2 years went by, or whatever it might have been. Then when he became the governor of Minnesota, guess what? They had him right away come in and be a special guest, referee, I think it was, for whatever pay-per-view that one was. But
I believe he's back now as well.
Well, he was the other night. I saw him the other night on Saturday Night Main Event, which was the show. I mean, it was with NBC. I guess it still is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was where Shawn and I actually won the tag team championship. We had wrestled the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim Anvil and Jimmy Hart on the outside, the Hart Foundation. And we had a 2 out of 3 fall match. And from what we were going to win no matter what. But the first fall, I believe they won. And the second fall, we won. Or no, they won. I'm sorry. We won the first fall. They won the second fall. And the rope had broke during the match. The corner turnbuckle were hooked into the post. And it was Gat luck, which I'll explain. Most everybody on here knows. I feel like I'm just talking to you because even though you and I know each other, kind of well now, because I feel like I'm telling somebody that don't know all this stuff. Gat is a bad luck thing, but GAT is standing for God's amusement toy. It's like when he's bored.
I saw your dark side of the ring.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did. Didn't I? That's right. Yep. And wonder how they're doing, man. I love the crew there, man. There's some good people. But yeah, I just the Gat man here, they're thrown into the corner, and I'd never seen that, even that, not before and even after. I've had a 40-year career, 41 now. But the last 4 or 5 years have been, just appearances or manager or special guest referee. Was that Slaughter?
No, RGT 85 just donated $20. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you. Who is it?
RGT 85.
Oh,
RGT 85. Thank you, my brother.
Shout out to Marty, living legend who never gets his proper due. I agree with that. Awesome, man.
That was Argentine?
RGT.
85.
RGT. Okay. Well, thank you again, my brother. If you are a brother, if you're a sister, thank you. If you're one of them transfers or whatever they're called, thank you. Whatever it might be. I'm sorry. I'll get to know you if I don't know you yet, but I'll get to know you. But yeah, man. So, oh yeah, what are we doing tonight? Tonight we were doing a question and answer.
We got some Q&A, and I'm going to mix them in as we're talking. And also, we got a special episode coming up about one of your friends, Marty, that passed away, Sabu. We were supposed to be doing that about a week ago, guys. Sorry, Marty was you got a little sick.
Was it last week or a week before that?
I think it was. Or it might have been the week before, but we're going to get that schedule back up. Rob Van Dam and several people are planning on joining us on that. But let me throw some of these questions at you there, Marty.
Okay, go ahead.
Slacky Chan said, well, we know wrestling is scripted, yeah. But when you and Shawn went your separate ways, did they mention what the future would be like? like, for example, new teams for you both or singles division? Did they have a plan for you to be in a new team, or did you know what was going to happen when you guys broke up?
The original breakup went, I mean, to put the backstory to that also, we had at that point been on the road or, you know, tagging together in WWE or it was WWE at the time. We've been tagging together for a good 5 or 6 years, something like that. And there was Shawn had got injured. He'd bought a motorcycle. I told him, don't do that. The boys have this habit of, you know, once one person does it, and I'm sorry, I got to cover that pail. I'll be in the sun all week, so next week I won't look like this. Casper ain't got shit on me. But and look at Eric over there all tanned up, and man, damn. Look, if I put my hand up next to you, look how white and how dark you are. But anyway, hell, I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, the motorcycle wreck. Yeah, the boys always seem to follow suit behind. I don't know if you say it as the top guys or just whatever some of the guys do, and somebody thinks it's cool, and the next guy does it, and then all of a sudden it becomes what does it say?
Shout out to Ben Myers.
Dale Myers?
Ben
Myers. Thank you, brother. Ben Myers' little contribution out there. Appreciate that, my brother, very much.
Just as a gesture of kindness for you, brother. Hi, Eric. Great to see you a part of this. Thanks, Ben.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
And I'll get swaggy, say hello when we can. Merle. Yeah, so the boys do, they so much in common, or, you know, they do, I don't know what you would call it, a trend. They'll trend behind each other. Well, you got a question?
No, I was just going to make sure about, did you know what you were going to be doing once the two of you broke up as a tag team?
Yeah. I didn't know if I saw the hand go up. I'm like,
no, it's my bad, man. That's my bad.
No, it's okay. But, yeah, so they have these phases they go through. I mean, everybody's going to do the same thing. Like Halliburton suitcases, the hard ones, metal ones, when they came around, whatever year that was, 86, 87, 88, whatever it was, a couple of the boys got one, the third boys got one. If the top guy got one, next thing you know, you look around the airport, you know, going to the airplane or leaving to the next town. You see 10, 12, 14, you knew who the wrestlers were by looking at the metal cases, suitcases, you know, and there was that phase. Then there was a phase where everybody wanted the cowboy boots, you know, and then tuck one leg inside of, you know, one side. And, you know, then the next thing you know, look, everybody's got their damn cowboy boots, and everybody's got one leg tucked in. It was just a trend that you know, one of the guys, especially once the top guy did it, you know, well, I don't want to say the fag bag, but that's what they used to call them back in the day. But this is not the right era to say that. But so the fanny packs, I guess that's they call that legal.
Yes, my bag of preference.
Yeah. You know, the ones that you snap on your waist there, which they were always so good for the boys, you know, because you got to save all receipts. So you're self-employed, I guess it was considered, because you got 1099, and that's a whole nother story we can go into, but not right now. But you know, you're self-employed, yet you know you work for them, and you can't talk to nobody else. You can't look for other work. You can't. They own you, but yet you're self-employed. You're not you're considered an employee of them. You're self-employed, and that doesn't work. I think they're either ironed out some of that or still working on it. But yeah, anyway, so where did I leave off? What I was talking about, the boots. Yeah. The next thing turned into motorcycles. You know, the guy started getting motorcycles, and you know, Shawn was somewhat back then a follower more so than a leader, or even just to do your own thing. You know, like, because when they did the Halliburtons, he got a Halliburton. When they got the snakeskin shoes, he got them. And then the motorcycle started, and that's when I told him, you know, I didn't care what he did. You know, waste all your money all you want, bro. You know, it's your life, it's your money. But when they got the motorcycle, he was, I'm going to get a motorcycle. I'm like, no. Because that was at right near the height of the Rockers. If not, the peak of them. I don't recall if it was. I think it might even been after we won the tag team championship. I didn't even finish that. Let me finish that real quick on Saturday Night Main Event. And then I'll come back to the motorcycle. We had a 2 out of 3 fall match because a lot of people don't know we actually were tag team champions. Sean Waltman, the 1, 2, 3 kid, then X-Pac. Him and I were tag team champions, and that we've got officially accepted, as champions. Sean and I were never credited with it because we had won it in that 2 out of 3 fall match. And when Gat hit the corner, the rope popped out from the corner where there's a little turnbuckle, got a buckle thing that goes into the post and hooks. And I don't even know that I could have, amble through me, and so I might have hit real hard, but it hit hard enough that little hook into the loop, it popped out, and the rope was down. Not a hard fix, but you can't do it during a match. Like, hey, come here, man, let's sit in the headlock and let them fix that. But it's close to what did happen because Brett and Shawn was in the ring. And Brett just held him down and told you could see him talking in his ear. But Brett's so experienced from growing up with it. The Stu Hart and them had the wrestling business since he grew up in it as a kid. They owned a company up there in Calgary, and a lot of stories come out of there.
Stampede.
Yeah, and a lot of the boys who went through there, a lot of them. So, well known, well documented, well storied. So they sat in the middle. Brett had him in the rear chin lock and was telling him, just sit here. Because this was taped. Saturday Night Live or Main Event Live. It was live on the first one Saturday, and the following week was taped. So they would come one time and get 2 shows out of it. So it was every other week that we would do, film for Saturday Night Live or Main Event. And this was a taped one. This was a second hour. It wasn't a live show. And, Brett being, I just didn't bother him. He knows how it all works. He grabbed Shawn in the rear chin lock and held him there and said, just sit here. And he's yelling at the ref, get him to fix the rope. Hurry up, get him. Because he knew they could edit all that out. While he just sat there doing nothing. Let him fix the thing, and you just edit all that out. Come back, and there's a rope up. The fruit fly went up my nose as if I'm a fruit. But so and that was the second fall, and they actually won that one, and we won the last one. So we had won the 2 out of 3. We were the tag team champions. I don't know what day it was on, but the next day as champions, we went to, I think it was Dallas was the first show, like say a Saturday. And then Sunday was a double shot. We did Houston and then took a little miniature flight. I say miniature flight, like a 20-minute flight over to Corpus Christi. And there were some things, some shenanigans that went on that flight that, they keep coming up with reasons. Everybody's got their own reason that doesn't know why the Rockers, why that happened to them. And I think the real reason was what happened. They talk about the flight from hell on the dark side of the ring and, around the business, that and it was a hell flight. I wish I would have been on it. But it was, our flight was kind of like that. And I'll just say, to save y'all the long talk and redundant, because I've told it before, for the people to hear all the time. And, but there was some shit involved. Somebody had poo-pooed in a paper towel and somebody else had put it on the back of the chair of this guy that was a loudmouth guy cussing all the wrestlers. And it wasn't but a few of us compared for the whole flight. there was very little passengers that weren't wrestlers. It was like 25, 30 wrestlers and about 5 or 10, regular people on there. I don't know if it's right to call it regular people, but, other passengers on there. And they actually enjoyed what happened to this guy. He'd come on the plane last, drunk as hell. Don't let me forget to tie up the end of that other open story about the motorcycles.
I got you.
With the boys. But yeah, he was obviously real drunk. He was a big old boy, but you got to remember, pro wrestlers are big old boys, except for me and Shawn. At that time, the land of the giants, everybody's 6'6", 270, and all just ripped, all muscle, except for Shawn and I. And he was just drunk as hell. Last one on the plane, bitching about having to sit next to the wrestlers. He just kept during the whole flight yelling out, cussing about the wrestlers. I like these wrestlers. I don't want to be around these son of bitches. Nobody's bothered him. Nobody said a word of us. I don't know. But so eventually the wrestlers got to him. They just, like I said, some shit got put in a napkin and dumped behind his back, and then talking to him on one side and this side. I'd made friends with him so I could chime in my way to help, knowing that was behind his, between his back and the back of the airplane seat. So I'm like, yeah, man, I agree with you. These wrestlers are like, they're asses. And then he got all happy with, yeah, man, you know what I'm talking about, right, man? Fuck all these wrestlers. Like, yeah, man, hell with all y'all wrestlers. And they're all laughing because they know, one of their boys. And he just would turn to yell this way and talk to me this way, and he was just grinding that turd up right in his back, the back of his shirt he had on. And then after you got flight was already through taking off, so you can get up, seatbelt, you can get up, take your seatbelt off, and go bathroom and do whatever. There's not much more you can do. Is go to the bathroom or walk to somebody and say, hey, but he got up, and he had pissed all the boys off, but he had got up and started walking back and forth, talking about fuck all this wrestlers. But he went to the bathroom, so we had a moment of silence. And let me run it back real quick. He'd walked forward up to the front of the plane for whatever reason, who knows, probably to get a drink. And that from where that turd was grinded on the back of his shirt, one of his hairs, I guess falling out, had hit it. It was a curly hair just dangling out of a turd that's on his back of his shirt. And as he would pass each aisle, whoever it was, the wrestlers or the boys, or the regular people on there. I'm sorry to keep saying regular people, but they would laugh every aisle he would pass going forward. They would start laughing, and he was turning around like, what is everybody? He's thinking, what, you can imagine every time you walk by, and he was a rough looking dude. He wasn't a clown looking, but he wasn't, anybody like, but so he was curious, like, why ain't everybody laughing at me? What the hell's going on? He ended up going to the bathroom at the back of the plane where most of us were, and in there for a minute, and then he comes out. He's got his shirt. It was a button. He got his shirt off, and boy, he was tatted everywhere from chin all down the front, all that. He was, pretty covered in tats. So that told us, like, this ain't the average guy here. And he walks. He's got it's like a blue work shirt almost, it's like a mechanic shirt type thing. But he's got it all rolled up in a ball, and he throws it in his seat as he's walking up. Nobody shits on me. And as soon as we heard that, we're like, okay, he saw it. And we're all doing like this, trying not to laugh, right in front of him. And man, he was just over and over. That's all right. I got something for y'all. Oh, y'all badass wrestler, I got something for y'all. got me a 9mm plane. And when we get there, I'm getting it. I got 9 bullets. I'm killing me 9 wrestlers. And then or any of us who might have been involved a little bit. I was, like I said, involved in the fact that, I'm talking to him, getting him to turn and agree with it while, Hercules and Paul were messing with him behind him. He's turning, and then I'm back. So he's just grinding. And that's up my only involvement. But when he started hollering out, about I got 9 bullets, I'm going to kill me 9 wrestlers. And then the maniacal laugh, he was like, ha, 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 ha. And I'm sitting there thinking, this guy is absolutely whacked out. Remember, he's got the whole tatted up from head to toe. And, he looks like somebody might, want to fight every day. He had that look to him, which when none of us worried about that. It was just, when you tatted up like that, you're thinking, what is it?
I'm just telling you, we got more questions. Come on, Brett.
Okay, I'll try to wrap it up. See if we got questions. Anyway, on that case, it ended up being where he was he had escaped. He was one of America's top 10 wanted at the time. He was the leader of a biker gang. And when we got to the arena that night, George Animal Steel, I remember him.
Oh, yeah.
He was an agent, and he called us, all together. He was, guys, there's been a problem. There's, I understand, coming from the flight, something happened, some incident. Well, this guy, and that's when he told us he was the leader of a biker gang, local biker gang there in Corpus Christi. And I shouldn't even be telling this. This is like 30 years later, but he might still have somebody come get me. But I didn't really do much, but shit on him. But I mean, anyway, George Steele was saying, well, we got word that he's an escaped convict, and he's one of the top wanted list of an American top 10. And you think about that, like, what are the odds, man? You get a little, whatever. I mean, you can call it a confrontation. You get into this little silly ass shouting match with some dude, and he ends up getting a little bit of shit on him. And you end up finding out he's the top 10 one, and he just escaped from a fucking jail. And George is like, so if you hear some pop sounds, get down. They may be shooting at us. Well, that's, as you can imagine, that's worrisome. And, who knows how it was given to Vince, who presented to Vince, McMahon, the owner. And because the agents had to call in every night and report how the thing went or how the day is going. It was 4 cell phones, so they had to find a pay phone and report, like what happened and was it good, was it bad, how was the match? They had to report everything, which is good on Vince to, stay on top of his business like that. But they, so that night, everything, nobody got shot, nothing happened, nothing out of the ordinary at all. Nobody jumped anybody. And that was like, I think, Sunday, because the next day we had off. We had been on the road like 30 days. That was the finish of it. Then we had 3 days off, and which were always Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We had those days off when we had days off back then. But so I get home, and I don't know, sometime Monday, I get a call from Vince. Marty, how are you doing? Yada, yada, yada,
Ouch.
And then he says, well, we have a problem with the championship, with the belts with you guys. And now I'm like, what's the problem, Vince? The match went well. I mean, he goes, well, I understand that there was some problems also at the arena in Corpus Christi. I said, not none I knew of. Everything went good. We had a decent match. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, he goes, nevertheless, I don't know what he was wanting, some kind of confession out of me, because I don't think anybody knew that I was fucking with the guy, as well as were the boys. But that's when he told me, yeah, man, the NBC doesn't really want to air that match. The rope broke, and they think it makes for bad, sloppy looking TV. So, and I'm like, okay, so what are we supposed to do? What are we going to do? Redo the match? I mean, what do you want? I don't know what you're saying. Well, I think we're going to put the belts back on the Harts, and we're not going to acknowledge it for now. I'm like, Vince, how can you not acknowledge it? We just defended the title 3 times. Dallas, Houston, and Corpus Christi. And all of them were sellouts. So you had 20,000, 17,000, and 12,000. Corpus Christi was a little smaller. But, well, we're not worried about them. We're worried about the overall picture, the bigger crowd. And so I'm like, so what are we doing? He goes, well, we're just going to go a different direction. So we're not going to redo that. He goes, no, right now we think maybe, different direction is the best. And so that's what I was told. And then later I'm hearing from all the guys, and even an agent or two, but they're saying, no, Anvil, he was the one who was holding out. He wasn't going to re-sign if they lost the belt. And then so he got called back and said, okay, we'll get the belts back on you. That was one of the things. I forgot I heard something else. I tend to believe, the rope broke. That was it. It was between the rope broke. That was the reason. That's the one Vince gave me, but that was the reason. And then Anvil Neidhart, he's going to come back if they put the belts back, which I don't believe that at all, because Anvil and I were real close, and he would have come to me and said something like, Marty, we got to do something, man. And start tugging that beard, got to do something, man. I can't be around here without the belt. You know what I mean? But, or what happened on the plane and the Rockers were involved. That it could have, to me, that's more likely than, anything other than the rope broke. Maybe NBC did say, now, but it wasn't sloppy. I mean, it didn't make, it was hard to get shot in the ropes, because you out of habit, you go throw the guy in the ropes, and then you was like, hold on to him, because you can't hit the ropes. What are you going to do? Walk up to it and push the second one and turn around and start running. But, yeah, I don't know, bro. That was
fast forward 30 years, Vince getting sued for doing the same thing as you did to the guy on the airplane.
Yeah. Oh, that's what. If there was truth to that's just, and it might have been. I wasn't there, and I did not hear directly from the guys that were there, even though I know them well. It just don't sound like something they would do to poo and pee on a girl. I know there's a fetish where people like to get underneath a glass table.
Subject, you gross.
She saved it for nothing.
We'll get to the second half of Slacky's question real quick there, Marty. And
Yes,
we'll get to the next questions. But he said, if you and Shawn had the choice to stay the Rockers at that point, would you have stayed with the Rockers?
At what point?
At that point, if you would have had the opportunity to remain the Rockers instead of splitting off, would you have rather stayed with the Rockers?
Well, okay, so now I'm going to backtrack to an opening story I left where Shawn had gotten with the motorcycle. So I was going to finish that anyway. Remember, with the motorcycle, Shawn went ahead, got him one like all the boys were doing. My concern and the reason I told him don't do that is because they're it's risky, and if you're a partier and you're drinking a lot, there's a chance you might hop on your bike a little buzzed up. And, you got no protection on a bike. In a car, at least you got some metal around you, an airbag and a seat belt. Motorcycle is nothing. And he, sure enough, got one. And he couldn't come to work the next tour. He's off. He had come to a train track, and it had slightly started raining, and it was slick. And he put his foot down to stop because he evidently was going fast enough. He felt he needed to do that, and it turned his knee and tore his ACL, and he had to miss some time. And while he was gone, while he was out, but he filled his spot, so we could continue to tag over Rockers tag matches with Shane Douglas. You all remember him?
Oh yeah.
Well, he went as that professor or something too at one time, but. And I think that's what he was doing in the Professor, Shane Douglas. But so he filled in for Shawn. Well, actually, at that point, no, he was a babyface. The Professor was supposed to be when they turned him heel. But so he him and I got along so good, man. It was like, at that point, Shawn and I did too. We were like brothers, joining at the hips. We did everything together, room together, worked out together, rent the car together, go eat together, go to the gym together, sometimes women together. But I mean, we were so close, up until when things started changing. And, like they say, you're close to you're not. It was one of those. And he heard about Shane coming in to fill in for him. And he also heard we were having great matches. I mean, it was like probably not what Shawn and I could have done, but amazing that somebody else, because Shawn and I at that point had 5 or 6 years together in the ring, so you're going to be in tune with each other. And, him, Shane stepping up, and we're just like almost didn't be. I mean, he couldn't nearly do everything Shawn could do, but then he could do things Shawn couldn't. And we having great matches. Shawn got a little bit upset about that, as you can imagine. You get injured, and like in any sport, you hear your backup players in there tearing it up. You start thinking, oh shit, are they going to want me back, or are they better than what we are? But whatever the case was, he wanted to, when he came back for a commercial shoot, he wanted to quit after he found out, that Shane was getting better treatment. Me and him were getting probably, he felt like, or at least that's what he told me. So we're doing this commercial shoot, and we, for SAG, Screen Actors Guild, when you got a speaking part that's over 3 words, you have to join the union. And they come out and give us all, going through sheets for you to find in yours for you to sign. And they, coming across all the guys, and they found ours, they hand us ours, and we're getting paid $5,000 each. Whereas all the other guys, that's a mistake that you're always surprised they made, because wrestling promoters and agents would don't hand what everybody's getting paid in their hands so they can read it. But they handed us, say, find y'all. They didn't know who was who. Here, find your person. Find your which one you are and sign that. You had to sign it. And we're sifting through them, and there's like, everybody's getting $10,000 for the commercial shoot. And then there we found ours, $5,000. And we had just had a meeting with Vince about pay, that we felt like we would like to move up higher in scale and pay. And we asked him, like, don't give it to us. Just give us whatever more work you think we could do. But we would like to climb up the pay ladder too. Which he was like, you just did it. He was all happy about it. But then like a week or 2 or 3 weeks later, that commercial come up, and we're getting half of what everybody else. At first, Shawn had said, no, you know what? We're tag teams, so we're getting 5 each. That's why everybody else is getting 10. And I held it up to him and said, these are the Road Warriors. 10-10. There's 2 of them. Remember the natural disasters, tugboat and earthquake. 10-10. And I think there was, I'm not sure, it seemed like there was another tag team, 10-10. We were the only ones on the entire, there was like 12 guys for the shoot. We're the only 2 getting $5,000. So Shawn had a fit. He went crazy, and he was like, fuck that shit. Fuck, let's quit. Let's quit. And I'm, back then, my simple ass, I was like, okay, you want to quit for real? Yeah, I mean, you agree with it? Yeah, okay. So again, back then, payphones. Found a payphone, went over to it, called WWE office, and asked for Vince. And, first, Pat Patterson come on. And he's like, Marty, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, we need to talk to Vince. Oh, Vince is busy right now. What do we need to do? Because I'm going to tell him we're quitting. But I told him, I said, yeah, Shawn and I want to know the correct way. What do we need to do to give our 90-day our notice? That we're finishing up. And he goes, oh, Jesus Christ, buddy, hold on. And he got me right to Vince. At first couldn't talk to him, but as soon as he heard that, yep. And so got over to Vince. Marty, what's going on? And I told him, hey, what's the proper way to give a notice? Shawn and I are going to finish up. Well, what's the problem? And I'm like, well, we've nothing we want to talk about. We just finish up. He goes, is it money situation? And he asked that. I said, well, yeah, we just had that meeting about that. And you said we just did the right thing, shook our hand, and we're getting the least paid here of everybody here. He goes, well, I did not know that. And he goes, well, let me look at it. I said, no, we just want to know what we got to do to quit. and Shawn is standing right next to me here in my end. Wasn't no speakerphone on payphones, but he's hearing me standing right there. And then finally, so Vince goes, well, you guys are in the Survivor Series in 3. You're supposed to stay for 90 days because what they do is beat you down for 90 days. So you're devalued to go to another company. And so, but he says, you're a Survivor Series, make that and I'll let you go. And I was excited about that. I'm like, oh, thank you so much, man. Shawn, again, he's standing right there. God, thank you, Vince. Thank you so much. And, when I hang up, because I'm thinking we're not going to get beat down, for 90 days. And, we're at 3 weeks in the Survivor Series. Who cares, if you lose to that? But so, Shawn's like, well, what's going on? Because I was all thanking him, what's going on? What's going on? What'd he say? I said, hey, man, you ain't going to believe this. What, he's letting us go at Survivor Series. And when it said that, Shawn just froze, mouth hung open, and probably turned as pale as what I am right now. And he goes, he's going to fucking let us quit? As soon as he said that, I'm like, oh no, oh no. And I said, he's letting us quit, Shawn. He's letting us fucking quit. I looked at him, I said, you were standing right there. I told him we quit. But he's going to fucking let us? I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, I knew, that was kind of like, what the hell, Shawn? What? Backing off of what you made me do. Asked me, you wanted to quit and told me, you go do it. And I did it. And then it was a flight. It was the commercial shoot was in Atlanta. It was a flight home. I lived in Orlando at the time. He lived in Tampa, about hour and a half, same flight or time flight. It took about an hour to get to there. I was saying they're an hour and a half apart. I flew in, he flew into his place, and the last message on my voice, remember answer machines way back?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I get on the answer machine, and the last message is Vince. Marty, give me a call at the office. And it was around 5:15 or so, and I'm thinking he ain't there, but let me just call anyway. And he was there. I got him, and Marty, you're welcome to stay on and wrestle singles. And I'm like, no, Shawn, I'm not going to go behind his back like that. Him and I agreed on this, and, I'll talk it over with him. And he goes, well, that's funny. Shawn just called me and said he had nothing to do with that decision and he didn't want to go anywhere. Wow. Wow. And I called Shawn. I don't even know if I said goodbye to Vince. I hung up the phone and called Shawn. He answers. I'm like, tell me it isn't true. Just tell me it isn't true. He already knew what I was saying. Well, Marty, let me explain. I mean, how did you know you already got some explaining to do? Right? And so he said, on the flight home, I had time to think about it. And, I'm married, you're single, you paid your house off already. I'm still paying for my house. I can't afford to quit right now. Okay, well, that's fine, but why couldn't you tell me before I went and put in the word we're quitting? Now I'm the asshole. But Yeah, so that was whatever the question was from the guy. I forgot his name now.
Slacky.
Hey, yeah, that's the answer to that. I hope it only took 30 minutes. I hope that was the right answer for you.
Oh man, in detail, that was a big part of your career. I'm going to get on to a few more of these.
Yeah.
I know this is something you'll want to answer here from Ben Myers. He said, I have a question for you, Marty. Do you have a favorite Sabu memory that you would like to share with us this evening?
Yeah, one. I mean, I got a bunch of favorite. I don't know if you call them favorites if there are a bunch of them. One of my most fun memories with it, we were over in Germany, and injured, banged up. This is like we're in our elder years. Like we've been wrestling now for 20 years, or so, give or take 3 or 4 years. We've been there a while now, but we're over in Germany. No, I'm sorry, France. France, where you could get over the counter. Well, I know it wasn't over the counter either because we were injured up. Mine was my ankle, imagine, and I don't know what his was, but we went to the hotel room. They went to the hotel room and then called the boys up, to come, get medicine, because they write you a script up. And we went up and seen him, and Sabu went up first and did whatever he did. And then I went up. Now you can see my foot's like this, and my leg is off to the side of that. It was called a collapsed ankle. You could just see it. You didn't even need to do an X-ray or whatever. But the doctor, he looked at me and he was like, "Oh gosh, that's hurts me to look at." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I need to get something for pain because it's killing me." And doctor, said, "Okay." He goes, and he left the room a minute. And Sabu comes over and coaches me up, puts his arm around me. He goes, "Jannetty, man, sell it a little bit. We're trying to get some pain medicine, dude. Sell it a little bit." I'm like, "I don't need to sell it. It really hurts." And you can visually see it. He goes, "Yeah, but just sell it anyway. A little bit, like, fuck, I don't need." You saw him say it makes him sick to look at it. "Yeah, but just sell it anyway." That was, to me, it was just fun because he legitimately cared about you, but at the same time, he didn't want you to mess up him getting his because if you think you actually real quick, I'll try to make it real quick so we can get a couple more questions. My probably favorite story on him was over in Australia, and we was on the road a lot together. But Australia, we stopped to get some on the bus going to the show, which was a good 4-hour drive. Well, we were fresh off, just left the hotel. It's probably 30 minutes in, not that much. And we stopped and, for everybody to jump out and go eat, for those who hadn't had a chance to eat yet or whatever. And while we're, everybody's in and out and getting settled back in the bus, one of the guys that put in, had a VHS player, back then. I think this was 99 or something like that. But it was Animal Kingdom, we're showing on the safari, one of the lions attacking a gazelle or something. And we're everybody's sitting just watching it and, having whatever they're eating. And Sonny gets mad and jumps up, Tammy, Sonny, she gets up and screams, "What is wrong with y'all? How can you watch this? This animals killing animals." And she gets up and walks up. They were toward the front of the bus, about 4 steps, or a couple seats up. And she gets a hold of VHS and turns it, changes it. I think it was actually a channel. She just changed the channel. I think. I don't remember how that worked. But Sabu was sitting in the very back of the bus, right? And we're all like thinking, well, damn, you didn't have to go like, screaming at us. I mean, we didn't do nothing. But so Sabu so quietly just walks up to the front of the bus, flips it back. I think it was VHS. He put a different tape, but tape back in, puts it back in, and turns around and walks to the back of the bus. And she just looks at him like a go die look, and then gets back up and switches it again. And he had not got back all the way back. He turned around and quiet, never said a word, right? It's just quiet flipped it back in, and she lost it. And she started screaming and cussing. What the fuck you tell me? And while she's yelling at him, he says, Sonny, what are you eating? She's sitting there with a big ass chicken sandwich, right? And the whole bus laughed about it, laughed at her, laughed at the situation. And she got pissed. Chris Candido, who we all love, but she was married to it. She threw the chicken against the damn window of the bus and got up and got off the bus. And poor Chris, man, we always felt so bad for him. But he got off the bus and this is Australia. It's not America. It's not somewhere we know what to do, who to call or what. Got some friends. This is in Australia. They got off the bus, and the bus driver, I forgot who the agent was, trying to get them to come back. We had to go. We got to go. Come on, just stop. You're being silly. They wouldn't come back. So we went on to do the show. And I'm sure everybody was thinking like I was, like, we're in the middle of the damn outback. We're in Australia. What are they going to do? It ain't like you can just call a friend or call, a taxi. Hey, drive me back. How are you going to find what hotel? You don't even know. That's another key when you're on the road to other countries. Make sure you get the matches from that hotel. So when you get out and get lost, you can show them that the cab driver to get you back. But this is 30. Yeah. And this is 30 miles or so, or 30, 40 minutes outside of where we were, the hotel and the city. So we were all out, at least I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Because they're both my friends, but we all loved Chris. She was a handful, like what the definition of diva, the bad side of it. That was her. Love her to death anyway. But yeah, so what was crazy when we got back to the hotel that night, late, they were sitting there in the lobby. They were there. How the hell they got there, I don't know. But anyway, so that's my Sabu thing. What else we got?
All right. I got one from Sean Moody. He said, Marty, my question is, did you and Scott Hall ever make up after the incident with you and CJ Peterson?
Yeah, DJ Peterson. Yeah, we did. We actually became, we were, let's see, that was in Minneapolis. This happened in Kansas City days. I was going to say we became real close friends, but that was after a year or so later when we went to Kansas City. Yeah, we had made up from that incident in Kansas City and got real close, as friends again, all the way to the end. I watched him go through, ups and downs with, battling this, I guess you'd call it substance abuse, but for me, we were always partying, it's partying, part of partying, or at least part of wild partying. I mean, we weren't 9-to-5ers, nothing against 9-to-5ers, but just saying, a little bit on the wild side.
Yeah.
So, maybe some of us took it to extremes, man. Which I'm known to have gone to the extremes, but again, we're not 9-to-5ers. Our bodies are way different. Our minds are way different. And but to answer the question, Sean, and hey, it's good to see you. I know Sean I think I met him yesterday on the internet. Miss Radical said hi, Sean.
Got another one in here for you from Hop Daddy. He said, question for Marty. Do you have any Brickhouse Brown stories?
The only Brickhouse Brown story I got, and I got to clean it up as I tell it, was, and I like Brickhouse, we were boys. But I'm not going to say Ingrid's name, but this girl that she was saying, I guess they were dating. And I didn't realize that because, I'm not that kind of, one of the boys got a girl, I don't, some of the guys didn't care, what they call arena rats or ring rats. Some of the boys don't care, if they're married or not. And then, the ring rat. But certainly, I mean, you would think a little more respect given to the boys, somebody they're seeing or serious with. But evidently, in this case, she didn't care because I didn't know, and then she came to spend the weekend with me at the house. Very good looking girl, very sweet girl. Wasn't sweet to what she was doing. Actually, to me too, because if I'd have known her and Brickhouse were seeing each other, I wouldn't have had anything. Would have been strictly friends, But it was more than that. And then I hear her on the phone with him, and she's upstairs. I'm downstairs in my TV room, and she starts screaming, and you know what? She goes, "Fuck you! Just be glad you got that big dick, because otherwise nobody would fucking like you." And I was like, "Oh my god, man! She's actually seeing him." I mean, for her to scream off like that, but and I felt like now, he's my boy. Do I avoid him now because she came down to Orlando and stayed with me where I was living, for a weekend? I put me on the spot on knowing how to react to it, and except for asking her, like, "You're seeing Brickhouse?" Well, we're not dating now. So why are you screaming at him like that? Well, and then she repeated that about the big dong thing, and like, which I don't need to know all that. but
Smiling Minotaur says, "Stop worrying about your appearance. You look great."
No, I put my glasses on just for that. But yeah, that's my Brickhouse.
Awesome, man. Got one in here from Biggie Fitz. He said, "Did Marty ever know the Baron von Raschke, very well?"
Yeah, I just saw a picture of him. He was up, and we were all up together in AWA days.
He's still kicking. He looks pretty healthy for his age.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say I saw a picture of him just recently, and holy shit, it's like he looks almost the same as he did in 1986. When we were all together in AWA days. And I liked old Bear, man. Good brother. Very good man.
I know he had a documentary that came out not long ago. It had been in the works for a long time.
He did?
The Claw. Yep.
Yeah.
Check that
I always
out.
wondered who had the claw first, him or Fritz Von Erich.
Oh, I've always wondered that myself.
Yeah. Maybe some of our people out there can answer it for us.
Yep. Harley Green said, "When is Marty going to get Donald Trump to be a guest on the show? Since they're great friends, it would be cool to see."
It would be, and I actually think he would, except I don't know, he's busy enough that, he could do Joe Rogan, but now you're talking about reaching 3 million people. He don't have it. It's not that he wouldn't, but I don't think he's a very little bit of time. He's got no free time, but little bit of time he does. I don't think he tell Marty I love him, whatever, but yeah, I just can't right now. But if he wasn't doing what he's doing right now, I'm sure he would, and that would be great. That's the first thing I would do is tell my rib story on him.
Lonely Wolf Life said, "Marty, remember teaching Alfred Hayes to say woo?"
I think that was Shawn, because Shawn would always do the woo, sort of like Flair. A lot of the guys actually did that little woo. Nobody did it like Flair. But I remember what he's talking about. Yeah, that was fun. It was funny because Alfred would try. Well, but he was like, "No, never mind, bro. Don't do that."
Bongwater Taffy said, "Can you ask Marty if he would rather go to the Varsity or Baby Doe's?" I don't know that I've ever heard of Baby Doe's. I've been to the Varsity several times.
Oh, this around here?
I guess. Well, with the Varsity's Atlanta.
Baby, what's her name? Baby Bong?
Bongwater Taffy.
Bongwater, what are you smoking? I don't know. Varsity was real good. What was the other place?
Baby Doe's. That's what I'm saying. I've been born and raised in Georgia. Never heard of that one.
Varsity, I think everybody in the state of Georgia is, addicted to that.
It's Atlanta
But
staple.
Baby Doe's, if they got Baby Doe's in there, I'd like it.
Ibsen Arroyo said, "The day you won the Intercontinental title, was it a legit surprise to Shawn when you came out through the crowd in New York?"
Yeah, I don't know if that's the one that was in New York. Was it? Oh, it might have been Manhattan Center, right? I think it was. But yeah, it was a surprise to him. Hell, it was a surprise to me. I only got the call like the last minute. And Pat Patterson calls me, buddy, we need you back here. Because I was off. Another time I got fired. And they called me up in the middle of the blue and like, we need you. Pat Patterson called, we need you here. Are you in shape? Are you ready to go? I had gotten so depressed when they let me go. And it was because that was the whole reason they brought me back as punishment to Shawn, because it just broke his heart to have to lose to me. But he had lied to Vince and told him that, Marty it was a Royal Rumble match we had. He said, Marty was in there and I had to lead him by the nose. He didn't know what he was doing. He was lost the whole time, which none of that was true. It was actually the opposite. I was having to tell him, no, not this, not that. And, but Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, Kurt,
yep,
good friends with all of us, but me and him were pretty close. Had told me what happened. He goes, Marty, I got your job back, which I thought he was ribbing me. He's good at that. But I'm like, Kurt, it ain't funny. I had gotten so depressed on that particular one, another one of the firings, that I had just stayed drunk the whole. I think I was off for 6 weeks, maybe, because it was after the Rumble, which is in end of January. In February, March, April, 2.5 months later, they called me. So I'm sitting there drunk for probably 2.5 months, drunk and doing, drugs and whatever I could get my hands on. Then Kurt, calls me first and saying, I got your job back. And I was, Kurt, man, it's not funny, man. This shit's breaking my heart, and I don't even want to do nothing. Yeah, especially when you didn't do anything wrong.
Was he serious?
Yeah. What's that?
Was he ribbing you or was he serious? Did he actually?
Kurt, no, he was serious. Because like the next day, and he told me, he said, I'm riding with Vince now. And Vince just told me the story about it. And I'm like, what story are you talking about? And he goes, well, he said how that Shawn had told him, and see, this was all new to me hearing this. Yeah. Shawn had told him that he had to lead you by, he didn't know if you was drunk in the ring or what. He had to lead you by the nose. You were forgetting everything. And he goes, and I told him the truth because Shawn had passed out the night before where we wrestled, and I forget where it was, but he had fell asleep in his soup. They called 911 because he was choking because he passed out and got snorted some up his nose. And Kurt told Vince that all you got to do is call the hospital there because they had a record, of course, and found out it was true. It was Shawn that was the one. And I did have to, tell him a few times during the match, like, no, you got to do this. We're doing that, whatever. And that pissed Vince off so much that his boy toy lied to him that was his punishment. His punishment was to bring me back and have beat him for the Intercontinental belt. I mean, I thought it was, when I first heard it, that was, the punishment to Shawn. I thought, punishment? How's that punishment?
How did you feel about that after you heard that Shawn had said that about you?
What's that?
How did you feel after you heard that Shawn had been saying that about you?
It angered me, but it didn't. And it did surprise me, but not shock me, because that's Shawn, man. I mean, after that match, and it was the match at the Royal Rumble in 91, I think, maybe 92. I think I don't know, whichever one it was is right in there. It's one where I wear the air filter suit, man. It looked ridiculous, but when I get told that, I mean, you can only get so mad, and then you got to let it go. Of course, it angered the hell out of me, and it's like I said, it surprised me. It didn't shock me because that's typical Shawn antics, right. I don't want to say stab in the back, but that's sort of what that feels like, right?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Somebody that you had went around the country with and basically did everything together.
Well, yeah, and we were like best friends, like brothers, man, for solid right at 7 years. So how do you do that to your, Not in a gay way, nothing against gay people, but not in a gay way, but like a soulmate, because I believe you can have soulmates of both either sex or whatever, and not have to be, oh, you're having sex with them. No, not at all. But we're just, so close.
He was not your boy toy.
Yeah, it wasn't my boy toy.
All right. Ben Myers wanted to ask you, Marty. He said, what was your favorite rib that you ever pulled on somebody?
Oh, shoot. I wonder what it was. I don't know. There were so many. Not one sticks out as favorite. And some of them were not that good, and some were real good. I'm trying to think. I mean,
you need to go back to the beginning with the turd on the gangster guy.
What's that?
Earlier, you was talking about the turd on the guy on the airplane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But that's when you're messing with people that are not in the business, not so much a rib, it's like something, it's a rib that usually kept within the boys, and the girls, not the boys and girls in the business,
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Many eyebrows have been shaven, stuff. I know one of my more fun moments was Bruce Barber Beefcakes. It was his birthday. And I hope, Missy, you're not listening, but you probably already know the story. I think we've already mentioned it before. But it was his birthday, and we were on the road. I think we were in Boston, but wherever we were, it was his birthday, so I thought I would give him a surprise gift, and I ended up sending to his room that night after the show. I sent this stripper, but midget. It was a midget stripper girl. Actually, she was a hooker, but so she
Lord Jesus.
yeah. So she went to his room, and he didn't know who did it at first, and later he goes, God, I mean, he's a fun guy. He's like, he's not gonna get angry, but God damn it, Lord, don't you ever send a midget stripper to my house or my room. But that was just fun because of his reaction. He was just all excited. Because I think one of the boys tipped her off, said, Marty sent you a stripper. Kind of ruined it. But then but it made it better because he got all excited. Then he opens the door, and this little midget girl there and nothing against midgets. I got so many midget friends like Pat Tanaka. And then just play it, Pat. No, I love you, Pat. But yeah, I do. There were so many that it's hard to pick a favorite one. But that's up there.
There you go.
Okay, I know one. I'll make it fast as I can.
Right.
What?
Hold on, there's like 50 other questions.
Oh, there's a lot more questions. All right, we'll get it another time.
Oh yeah. We're going to be doing this much more. Ibsen or Rodeo has said, with this week being Owen's 26th anniversary of his passing, did Owen ever pull a rib on you?
Oh, he got me more than once. I mean, probably, I know of one, but I don't, there's probably way more than one, because Owen was, him and Kurt Hennig had the best, setting you up and getting you ribbed, and then have it do something to add to it to make it look like it was somebody else. Like, say, if you spray painted your bag or your clothes or something, then you take the can of spray paint and put it next to somebody else's bag, so you thought they did it. Then what you got, we called it double because Mr. Fuji give us cricket points. He called it cricket point for ribs. You got a good rib, you got a cricket point. If you did a double, you got 2 or 3 according to how good it was. Which double being you ribbed a person, and then they went and got onto somebody else's ass thinking it was them. So you got a double. You got extra points. But
what was that like for you, man, when you heard about Owen's accident?
What's that?
What was that like for you when you got the news about Owen?
Yeah, it was rough, man. I actually cried in the I say cried, not womanly kind of cry, just tears and that. Because I had watched the pay-per-view. I think it was a pay-per-view that happened at, and I wasn't on it. I was home. And we had a group of people watching that pay-per-view, and it seems like his match was like number 3 or 4, whatever it was. We'd seen a couple matches, and he was coming up next. And I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, everybody was like, I don't know, about 10 of us, a little party watching it. everybody's like, well, I don't know what's going on. The screen just went black, and it's been like this since you were in the bathroom. And then it came back on from going black. And I think it was Jim Ross, was it? That made the announcement. Yeah, we had it there.
Jim and King.
Yeah, and it was like probably in disbelief at first, like, and I'm starting to think of like, what are they trying to work? Like, what kind of angle, Then I got a phone call. I forget, it's not Stone Cold, but because Stone Cold was there that night. But I got a call from one of the boys, and because I blanked out thinking, I'm sitting there thinking, what kind of storyline is it? And that's,
it could have been a storyline.
Yeah, in wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And so I, when I get the phone call from the boy, I actually know who it was, but I don't want to say, because they were very upset and crying and mad at the same time. They were there, so they had some perspective we didn't. I don't know. I don't know if Owen had expressed that he didn't really like doing. I do know he didn't really like doing that. The repelling, because they'd done it in a couple, house shows, and he would say that I'm a wrestler, I'm not a repeller.
Right.
But and so once I got that call and they were telling me about it, and I was like, man, heartbroken, because Owen and I would room a lot together, and like I said, he'd rib me, but it'd be a fun kind of rib, and I'd rib him back, just a little cut. One of them serious ones like Owen could do. But that kind of broke my heart on the spot. And then what made it the worst was it was back in GHB days, which was this thing you could take, liquid that you drank a little bit of.
Club drug.
Yeah, it was. They one time it got called a date rape drug, because you mix it when somebody's drinking, they don't know about it, and I mean just a little bit.
Back in that day, you could get that at GNC though, couldn't you?
Yeah, when it first came out, it was in powder form. Yeah, they sold it at GNCs, and what made it bad was when all the little hippie boys, the younger skinny kids that got no tolerance for drugs, when they started ODing and some of them dying from it, that's when they had snatched it off the market. But by then, all the boys, or people in general, but certainly all the wrestlers, we already knew what it was, and you catch that little buzz from it. If you catch a real good buzz from it, and if you did just at least a little bit over that, you'd pass out and be throwing up or peeing in your clothes. It was rough if you took too much, but if you took just the right amount, nice feeling. You don't have to drink but one beer or two, and you're sitting there, you're good, for hours. But that would. What were we talking about though?
We was talking about the passing of Owen.
Oh yeah. So I GHB'd up, and right at the point where I was feeling good, because I knew how to take it correctly. I was feeling good, but it was very upsetting. Still carrying that. Might have just happened. Just happened like an hour or two ago. It was late night, 3 or 4 in the morning, and I went up to the grocery store nearest where I was living, and as I walked in, you remember that newspaper USA Today?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was out back then. I don't know if it's even still around, but
it is.
Yeah. But it was sitting there. It just got delivered, and I always grabbed one to check out the sports section. But on the front corner, there was a picture on there. Anybody that's kept up with that, with Owen, big Owen fans all these years. And it's Owen on the gurney, and they're pushing him out, and his arm is hanging off the gurney. You can tell it's just limp and gone. And and I'd already been told that he did. He was gone. He passed away from that. That man, that hurt so bad. I'm sitting in there, and at that time I was back at my wrestling size, like 225, 230 pounds. Never, that tall. I was 5'11", But it broke my heart so much that I'm just sitting there and I'm tearing up and probably, a little bit of bounce coming. And it was like 4 a.m. So, not maybe 2 or 3 other people in the entire store, but one lady saw me and she came over, "You okay?" And I just remember pointing at it. I said, "That's my friend." Pointing at the corner of the picture where his arm was hanging off the gurney thing. But yeah, that was a tough one, man.
Yeah, I found it.
Is that it right there?
That's it right there, man.
Yeah, see how his arms hanging down. That that was a tough sight to see. That's must be on the inner page because this is right in the corner. It was like a corner shot, but that was it. That was the picture. That was the big one, and yeah, that was wow. That was rough.
I was trying to find that. Ibsen got some great questions tonight. I'm gonna get to this one. Said, when was the last time you saw Vince, and what did you guys speak about?
The last time I saw him, I think it was during the Rocker reunion. No, actually, you know what? When we did the Rocker reunion, and then on the next night I had a match with Kurt Angle. I don't even think he was there. It was the first night, the Rocker reunion, Monday night on Raw, was in Atlanta. So it's basically like a hometown reunion for me. Everybody, my people. I was all excited about it, and it went well. And I thought people were going to forget me, but they didn't, and it was a very exciting thing. But then the next night was SmackDown. It was taped Tuesdays, but it's shown Friday night. And I had Kurt Angle that night. And we had a hell of a match, man. 20 minutes for SmackDown. I don't know how they do long matches anymore like that, but and it was a solid match. It was, sometimes you go 20 minutes, and after about 6 of them, they're already hard, boring. So we had them on their feet most of the whole time. So it was a very good match. And Kurt and I became good friends after ever since then. But yeah. But I think the last time I saw Vince, we just talked about nobody aging because I hadn't seen him in 5 years or so, maybe. And, he looked pretty much, I don't know what he is. What's he now? 78-ish?
Ooh, if not
70,
80. He's right there at it. I know. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Vince McMahon, 79.
But yeah, I mean, we just joked with each other, and him and I've always loved each other, not sexually, but we've always loved each other, and I consider he's always been good to me. Did he release me sometimes? Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I made him, put the blame where it belongs on me. Sometimes I gave him not that I didn't give him a choice, but I mean, he had no choice. It certainly wasn't intentional and aimed towards him. Like, yeah, fuck Vince, and then something like that. It was just me and my damn over partying habits. There was never nothing malicious, never beating people up or never stealing people's stuff or never intentionally not making a show or anything like that. It was Marty had drunk and this happened, or Marty had drunk and that happened. Sometimes I tested positive for cocaine back then.
Sometimes. Oh, my bad. Tell Casey, hey. Hey, Cheyenne, Mom loves you.
Yeah, she's looking at all the questions in the chat room. As are you. What's next? We got to go, though. We got to wrap it up pretty soon.
Yep. I'm going to run through them quick. Ben Meyer said, I have another question kind of off the wall. What in the hell is a Georgia native wearing an Alabama hat for?
Because I love Alabama. I grew up in Columbus, Georgia, which, if you look, it's right on the river, the Chattahoochee River, which is divides the state of Georgia and Alabama.
Phoenix City.
And I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan too. Where's one of my ass?
It's too far for me to grab.
Yeah,
continue with the questions.
But anyways, I grew up being a Georgia and Alabama fan, and then once I moved down to Florida, the first house I ever bought was in Orlando, and right down the street from Gainesville, Florida Gators. And sometimes I forgot how it happened. I ended up meeting one of the players. We became friends, and I would go work out with them. Sometimes in their gym they have an old campus. And so then that was Steve Spurrier years when they were, winning all the time, a couple national championships. So, I mean, I was always a Georgia and Alabama fan. And both of them were good when I was a kid. So, you couldn't help but love them. We had Vince Dooley for Georgia, and you had Paul Bear Bryant, the Bear, legendary until Nick Saban just broke his record. He had the most national championships. And, he was a great coach. And so I had both. Like if I left my house and crossed the bridge, which when I was young, that was just a walk of maybe 300 yards, 120 yards, 150 yards across the bridge. Now I'm in Alabama, and I lived right there. I mean, right by the bridge. And, so I grew up with that.
Street?
What's that?
13th Street?
Well, I was on 2nd Avenue and downtown, down there by, what is that highway in front of it used to be Golden Park. I don't know what they call it now. It used to be the Houston Astros when I was growing up, where they played.
I don't remember, man.
What is that road, Miss Atticle?
Somerville?
Huh?
What are you talking about?
The road right downtown that goes over to Phoenix City.
14th Street.
Oh, you know about J.R. Allen?
No, that's all. That does go over there, but now this is right by. It goes past the auditorium where they had pro wrestling at.
And the Civic Center and everything.
Huh?
Victory Drive.
Victory Drive, but what's it turned into?
431.
431, I think it is. It turns into. But it starts as Victory Drive till it gets right there by the bridge. I think that's when it's 431 starts. But I think 280, one of them. But yeah, I was right there, so I grew up next to, I'm in Georgia, and really Auburn was the closest. Auburn was like 30 minutes away, 30 minutes and you're at Auburn, University of Auburn. Even when I was young, though, I just didn't get into Auburn. For what I did, no reason, I just didn't like them. I liked Alabama and liked Georgia. Then after, my high school days and getting recruited for stuff in, sports, particular football over at Auburn. And then it was something they didn't, want me for kicking, only wanted me for kicking. And I was like, man, now I want to do more than just be a kicker. I wanted to play defense and be able to tackle people or, if you want to move my position, but I'm not just going to be a kicker. They're like, nah, we only want our kickers kicking. And so I said, well, I'm not coming. And that should end up biting me later because then I went and wrestled at a smaller college. And once it was a junior college, after my 2 years were up, and there's Auburn right there. And we used to scrimmage against them. And I beat them almost every time, pretty much every time. And so I figured for sure I could get a scholarship there. But one of the things that one of the coaches had said is like, what did you do? Why are you a bad name around here? And for me, I thought maybe because of all my antics, when I was growing up, all the cutting up and trouble I'd get into, or it went back to where I refused to, just be a kicker for them, turn down the scholarship for kicking. Maybe that was it or whatever it was. It didn't matter because the whole Southeast was dropping the wrestling programs because at that time, but I think it was called Title IX, where what it was you had to add a girl sport or drop a guy sport because they were trying to equal the matter and some. So wrestling, drawing the smallest crowds down south, that's what was getting dropped. Let's see if we get two more and get off it.
Gotcha. Kamikaze said, honest question, will they be releasing a Marty figure in the WWE Superstars line? Because that's a day one purchase for me. Any talk of getting you an action figure?
I don't know in WWE right now because, like a lot of people talk about me being in the Hall of Fame, and it's just at this time, it's not going to happen. Although the company is sold now, there's different people running it, owning it and all that. But I still think that, some of the old crew is there to where basically believe I got blackballed over a lawsuit that I got involved with. It was CTE lawsuit, which I only did because of my ankles. I asked them if they could fix that rather than, send me to. They wanted to send me, to rehab because I was taking so many pain pills.
Yeah.
And my brother was actually one worried about it. He said, and that was during the time we were having like 10, 7, 5, 8 wrestlers a year dying. During that rash of dying period, he was worried. He told me, so I don't ever want to get that call. So he had, told me, get your ass into rehab, regardless if you don't want to, because it's drug rehab. That wasn't the problem. What all they're going to do when you go to rehab is look for the source of the problem, to fix that. Well, it's my ankles. He goes, that's the point. They'll get to that, and then you got it on report, and you can take it to them to fix your ankles. And it actually happened, like you said. That's what the doctor, the analyst, or whatever they're called, that saw me, he in his report, he goes, Marty's does take an unusually high amount of pain medicine, but I think it stems from his ankle pain because visually it looks like it hurts. That's pretty much all you thought you needed. But when I called back in WWE's wellness programs, we're like, well, we can't do that, Marty, because if we did it, you got a very valid point. But if we did it for you, that would open the door to do it for everybody. Which I thought, did they just really say that? I mean, people who have made you millions of dollars and you don't want to spend 20 or 40 grand getting their body part fixed. In mine in particular, that was one of Shawn and I's signature things, jumping off the top rope, coming down with a punch or whatever, you landing on your ankle. Now, I did a lot of times. In fact, I did it in the Kurt Angle match. Would jump from the top of the rope,
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Post out to the floor, which is a good 12 feet down. And sometimes I would land standing, get the shot. I usually would try to do a roll with it, but sometimes according how you're coming down, you got to land without hurting yourself. And I'd end up planting and standing up from 10 to 12 feet up.
Stomp again. That looked nice. I'm sorry. Focus. Working. My bad.
But I felt so, I don't know if angered, disappointed, shocked, a lot of emotions by being told that you're a very valid point, but for us to fix you opens the floodgates for us to fix everybody. And I didn't even say, look, I'll sign a confidential clause that I won't say anything, but none of it was good. So it made me so upset or mad or whatever combo that I was like, okay, I'll join in that CTE lawsuit then, because that was how angry. I know angry was one of the emotions.
That's how a lot of the guys felt.
Yeah, man. I mean, shit, you made them. When you're getting a royalty check every quarter, when you get one and you just made you made $10,000, that means they made at least $1 million.
Right.
You made $1 million off in royalties, off merchandise off me, but yet you don't want to fix my ankles for 20, 30, 40 grand. Made $1 million. I made you $1 million because they're buying my merchandise. But so, yeah, I just felt, and I got in that lawsuit, which ended up, they tried the case in Connecticut, wrong place. That's McMahon country. I told our lawyers that. Don't do the case in Connecticut. You got no chance. No,
that guy has lost very, very few cases.
Yeah, I know. He beat the NFL. I think I forgot who else, but he got the NFL for CTE thing he said it was $2 billion, not million, $2 billion against the NFL. And so, then he loses or he gets it thrown out. I don't know. My brother might have been correct on that. My brother said, you know what? The fact that he, tried it in Connecticut and knew that's, McMahon country, I don't know that he didn't get payoff and just, let it the hush and leave. He might have been on the take, which I don't doubt, man. I mean, I've been through a bit Chuck Austin case where he, got his neck broke doing a move wrong with me in the ring, doing the rocker dropper.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and it cost me $500,000 after the lawsuit. After all was said and done.
We don't have to talk about that one day.
Yeah,
Guys,
we will.
I'm going to get to this last question really quick. I hope
Okay.
everybody's enjoyed it tonight. If we didn't get to your question tonight, I promise you we will later. But
And
I'm not
promise-
going to lie. I kind of cherry picked this one a little bit, Marty. I was going through it because it's a question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Cindy Stockdale said, how was Larry Nelson like to party with?
Larry Nelson?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites, man. As an announcer, he's probably my favorite. I mean, I love them all. I love all my people. But him and I don't know. Hopefully nobody in his family's listening, that don't want to know this. But we used to do so much good cocaine back in the day. Not now. We don't do that anymore.
Larry's not alive anymore, I don't think.
What's that?
I don't think Larry's been gone for a while.
Yeah, he died. He died a while back. Yeah, but he was a big fan of ours, as we were Midnight Rockers then. He just loved the wild party and stuff, and he was a bit older, like maybe, I don't know, 15 years older than us. But he loved to hang out with us because we would party and have fun. I mean, any and every night that you wanted to, And yeah, he was fun, man. He was fun too. He was fun to hang out with. Yeah, I miss him.
Guys, I will tell you, one of the funniest podcasts I've ever seen, Larry Nelson was on a wrestling podcast called In Your Head, and he's talking about a specific story with Marty and Shawn.
Uh-oh.
Go listen to it. You won't be disappointed. It was great.
Where did you find it? Where is it?
I'll have to find it and send it to you, man. It was years ago, I remember. But it's talking about the three of you at a restaurant with girls under the table, and I guess you can put the rest of the story together.
Yeah, it was
you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, me and DJ Peterson, and we had a couple girls sitting at the table with us, and he had come in and walked in. It was a regular restaurant, bar, hotel that we always in Kansas City always stayed at, and I'll try to present this not so graphic.
Yeah,
but
because we have young viewers watching right now.
What?
We have a young viewer named Jackson watching.
Okay. And but he walks in with Bob Geigel, who was one of the owners. Him and Harley Race owned it. But they walk in, and Dave and I are sitting there with he's got a girl, sitting at the table with us, like a little booth in the restaurant part, which is attached right there to the bar, the lounge. And Bob walks in, and we're all sitting here like stiff. DJ and I were all stiffened up, just sitting there, because they walked in. There was nobody else in the place on our side, on the restaurant side. And we're like, oh, there's Bob Geigel, the owner, and Larry Nelson walked in with him, and they we're sitting there, and Geigel looks at us, and we got girls sitting there with us, and he's like, he knew something wasn't right. He's like, how you guys doing? And we introduced each other, and he says, you guys sure are quiet for you guys. Y'all usually out, and you're only with two women. Leaned back and pointed like at the table, and the girls did too. They were pointing like they were disgusted. They knew it was happening, but there was a girl for over there on Dave's side and one on my side doing what girls can do underneath the table.
You got to listen to Larry tell it too, man. It's a trip. I'm going to get that for you. I promise.
Yeah, Cindy, I'd like to hear that. But that's what that was about. You're sitting with two, and you got two under there doing that. Man, life was easy back then. Things have changed.
You've changed.
Oh, it's me, ain't it?
Well, everybody, I hope you enjoy the party with Marty. Please do us a favor. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe this podcast, and let all your friends know about it.
Yeah, and let me say,
WWE and tell them this man needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Sorry, Marty.
Yes, sir.
And Radical, she needs to be in there. Also, remember, everybody hearing this, by Facebook, the original page got taken away because I think I might have got drunk and said something I shouldn't have. I don't know. They never gave me an explanation, but I lost such a huge following. But if you want to get in touch with me, you can follow me. We still can talk through the messenger on Facebook. And I think you can still comment on any post.
They can also email you at mrjannetty@gmail.com.
And then also, you say that again?
Y'all can email him directly at mrjannetty@gmail.com.
Oh, damn, that's our website. And then there's also the website, which is what, martyjannetty.net or .com?
martyjannetty.com. There's a chat feature there as well.
Yeah, chat feature there. And in the future, remember this too, the chat room. I don't know how often you'll get to do that, Eric, jump in there with us, but, Radical and I, and hopefully Eric will always be in there. And that's live. Like, this is live, but a lot of times we will have to tape according to the situation, which everybody's doing that week. But you can go to the chat room, and that's going to be us live. We cut up in there. We usually have a great time in there and make new friends and stuff. So, join us there. But come see me on Facebook. I do have Instagram and what's it called now? X.
And X.
And Mr. Jannetty, what?
All the links to your social media is within this podcast.
Oh, okay.
In the description.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So outside of that, remember our regular. I guess we'll start doing it back at the regular times, right, Eric?
I'm fine with it, man. And
right,
guys, I wouldn't mind. Put some down in the comments. Who are some guests that you would like to see Marty talk it up with? I would like to see some of that down in the comments. Give us some suggestions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know coming up, and two, let me say this for those that have been around, was going to do a tribute to Sabu, which is a good friend of mine, like Rob Van Dam's best friends, which him and I are very good friends. And we were, had a lineup to do a tribute show for Sabu. And I got sick or whatever happened. I don't know, hospital or whatever could have been. But we would maybe even next week. I don't know. We'll listen to your comments and see what you say about it. Because it's been a couple weeks now, and it's almost like, well, that happened a while back. But I really would love to do a show on Sabu and have some of his closer friends, saying good stuff about him, what they knew, what they know, and stuff like that. But yeah, we got, and we're gonna have get RVDs like a regular on Pat Tanaka. Who else I got up here coming close? Mike Chioda, if y'all remember him, 30-something years refereeing in WWE.
There was somebody
Boogeyman
Mansfield.
What's that?
Eddie Mansfield, I think.
Oh, Eddie Mansfield. He was going to try to do this, but we got fell behind trying to change stuff up and restructure for this new version. This is our new version of the show, which I said, like I said, I think y'all gonna love it, and we'll be even better in the future because we had to do a lot of stuff in a hurry, but we got it in. This is one of the reasons we went live, and I'm sure we'll do lives. I like doing fan questions, So give me one more before we go.
One more. Well, I had it, but I wanted to hear the Larry Nelson one so bad. So, okay. But one was asking, I forget, I think it was Ben Myers. He was saying, when was the last time you got on a moped?
Got on a moped?
Yeah. India?
Yeah, India. That was the last time. That's the one that was on the opening, the intro. By the way, we're going to fix that up too. A new intro for the show. But on the earlier versions of the Party with Marty, on the intro, you see on there where I was riding a police motorcycle, but it's more like a moped, but police motorcycle. And man, it was funny. You can see the whole thing is they first of all opened the door for me to come in. The little usher guys with the big red hats, like they're in London or something. But they opened the door for me, getting up the stairs and then getting the lobby. All I intended to do was make a lap around the big pool, or big fountain they had in there. Yeah. And Bam Bam Bigelow was standing there. He's a regular biker.
Bam.
Yeah, he was looking, rest in peace, love him. But he's looking at me, shaking his head no. And I'm thinking he's, don't ride a motorcycle in the hotel lobby here in India. We're in India. And, I says, I've come to find out as I got to the fountain and turned to go around it, They had just waxed the floor. And the thing didn't turn. It just slid right into the fountain, knocked people in the fountain, big crash. Like I said, it's on the opening. If you go back to some of the previous shows, and right at the beginning, it's in our intro. But we are going to spice up the new intro and music and all that. So be sure to tune in next week. Same damn time, same damn place, which is right here, YouTube, 10 p.m. You good with that, Eric?
Well, there is one important question. I swear this is going to be the last one. It's from Larry
Okay.
Bird. He said, last question. I was
with
Larry,
he's usually in the chat room.
Yeah, he said, I was with this chick last week. Now it burns when I pee. What do I do?
He was with a chick and it ended up being a man. I didn't hear.
He was with a chick.
He said it's burning when he pees now after being with her. He wanted to know your advice.
My advice is call Shawn Michaels and ask him because he had a similar issue. You know what was crazy about his? He was I think there was 3 of us in the car. I'm trying to clean this up so I don't, it's not nasty. But
making it G-rated.
There was a girl, yeah. There was a girl in the back seat, and everybody had their turn. And even in driving through a drive-through burger place, McDonald's or wherever, I'm thinking we're going to get in trouble because there's somebody back there humping away at stuff, doing things, and we're right at the drive-through. And they just looked and laughed about it, but it was funny. Like Shawn, I think, was first. And then, I won't name the other guys, DJ, myself, and whoever else, Kurt. I won't mention the names, but all of us were like after him, and all of us were fine. And he started complaining about us, like because he had green stuff dripping out of the end.
Nasty.
And he's getting mad at us. I mean, you went first. None of us got anything. How are you blaming us? Yeah, that was as G as I could make that.
All right, guys. All right, that was it. Marty,
All
I had
right.
a fun time. Let's do it again next week, brother.
Yeah, same time, same damn place. We'll see you here at 10 p.m. next Thursday. Love y'all.
See you guys.